Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and I am here with a combo Friday freebie, and I wanted to talk a little bit and maybe do some crafting in my new winter journal. So the freebie, it's going out today to everybody on my email list. You'll get that around noon Eastern today. If you're not on that email list, don't worry because there's a link in the description down below where you can sign up and have this sent to you immediately via email. So the freebie this week is a sampler. It's based on the kits that I released this week, and those will be in the email. They're in my shop if you want to go check that out. But I've got kind of a winter theme, and a couple of the kits had a touch of a little Art Nouveau feel, so I've tried to reflect that in this week's freebie. So I've got a sheet of ephemera, plus this really cool vertical mountain paper. I have a frosted snowy winter mountain theme as well this week, and I'm going to be carrying that over into my new journal. And I'm just going to set these to the side, and I am so excited about this. This is a blank journal that I picked up this week on Amazon. I will link this down below as well. And it comes already with this cord attached. I might have to remove this and add a new one because I expect that my journal is going to get a little thick. They usually do. So we'll see how that turns out. Let me just pull this open. I think I got it on here a little extra tight. So this cord is built in. It's threaded right through the journal. There's some eyelets on there. And this is a hard craft paper and cardboard cover. But the most exciting part of this is how the journal pages work. So this is an accordion journal. So you can flip it open, kind of regular. But then the pages are this really heavy craft paper and they accordion out. And they're 18 pages if you just count this one side of the journal. There are 18 pages front to back, so 1, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. And then you can just keep pulling, or if you wanted to, you could pull them all the way out and make a big run of it. So there are 18 panels to play with in this. And I'm super excited to see what I can do with this format of journal. This is very different, and I feel like it's going to have its own challenges because where I'm used to having the edges of pages to decorate like you would normally, I have to keep in mind that this can be pulled all the way out, and so those elements like tabs and things won't be able to sit properly if you pinch them over the page. So I'm going to have to come up with clever little workarounds and then maybe even utilize the tops and bottoms of these pages for my flips and things like that. So I wanted to do kind of a brainstorming session on this video, as well as maybe just start sticking some things in here. This did come in a 2-pack, so while I'm a little nervous about like messing it up, there is a second journal that I can play with, so it makes the stakes a little bit lower. I can always get rid of this one or put it to the side and start over again. So one of the first challenges I'd like to tackle with this is that these pages are just a little smaller than my junk journal papers usually are. So I have printed a bunch of pages from one of my new kits, and I'd like to start putting these into the journal. But obviously we're not going to do the normal fold everything over, make signatures out of it. That's not going to work with this. Now, I suppose I could punch some holes and cut some pages down and do kind of like a little book insert, and that would be a fun idea to explore maybe later on in the process. But for now, part of my vision is to kind of have this start moving continuously. Not on every page, but I don't want it to feel very like chunky, where it's all broken up page, page, page as you go through. So I've got this set of decal edge rulers, and I'm going to use these to help me tear these pages down to size. And these are printed both front and back. I'll have to decide, I'll kind of pick and choose. I can always print another copy. That's why digitals are nice. I can print another copy if I tear up something I wanted to use. But I really like this page, so we're going to start with this. And let me slide my journal. I'm going to kind of move it over here so we can use it for sizing, because you can see I'm too tall as well. The cover of this journal is about the size of my piece of paper, but the pages are significantly smaller. So let's grab this ruler, and I want to start tearing some interesting shapes, and I might do some of it freehand as well. I'm gonna pull like that. And then I think I'd like this to be a little more straight across here. There's not really a rhyme or reason to this. I'm just kind of getting in there, making sure I'm cutting off those white edges and then reducing the height of this so it's going to fit better on my pages. Let's take a good bit off the bottom. And then shorten this side. And I can save those scraps if I want to for decorating later. All right, let's see what we've ended up with. And that fits pretty nicely across 2 panels, or even if I wanted to shift it over, I could make it fit across 3, which could be really interesting as well. So let's pull this out and expose some more of those pages. This is going to be a little fun to work with on camera because it is so wide. And I'm going to grab some distress ink. I'm using Vintage Photo distress ink. I've got kind of a brown and burlap and snow and wood kind of theme going. So good old Vintage Photo is a great option here. I'm just going to ink all of these edges up really good. All right, so I think I'm going to cross a couple of these lines, a couple of pages at one time. And I'm going to do this using my Oohoo glue stick. You could use Beacon Fabri-Tac or another glue, but I think I want to make sure all my edges are down super well. And I'm just going to apply my glue. I'm going to use this journal as a backdrop, and so I don't make my workspace too messy, and just get a good coating of this glue stick all across the back and pay really good attention to all those edges. Make sure that they've got glue all the way to the edges. That's the most important part. Let's flip this over. Now you could use the Beacon Fabri-Tac. I don't think that would be a problem. It would probably dry faster, and I might try that with the next piece. All right, we're crossing our panels there. And Oohoo glue stick does have like a softer feel to it whenever you first put the paper down. So I'm gonna have to let this dry really well before I try to do any creasing. All right, so my glue is good and dry, and I wanna make sure that I get these creases defined really well. So I've got my bone folder here. I'm just gonna pull this out and really reaffirm that crease. And then I'm gonna have to flip the journal so that I'm going the other direction, because that's what direction this crease goes, and get that crease down this way. Now I might have to do what I usually do, which is kind of go back and forth a couple times, but hopefully as I work in this journal, these creases will kind of loosen up. That's not too bad actually. Let's see. Close it up. Moment of truth. I haven't actually tested this yet, and that's working really nicely. So I'm super happy with that. So I think what I'm going to do for my next step is grab some more pages from this paper set. I'm going to grab some more of these pages, and I'm going to repeat this process through more of the journal. I'm not sure if I'm going to do how many I'm going to do or how frequent it's going to be, and I do want to be able to be layering other things up and have kind of empty spaces where I can do other things later. So I'm just going to kind of feel it out and put one every few pages, and then I'll either cross 2 or 3 pages, and then I'll come back and show you what I ended up doing. So how I ended up handling this is I picked another 5 sheets of paper, and I went ahead and tore those down so that they would fit into my available space. And then I went through the journal and kind of marked out with a pencil where I wanted those to land. I didn't want to end up getting to the back of the journal and having it end strangely, or just things not being even all the way through. I really wanted these big panels to feel really evenly spaced throughout the entire accordion. So I got all of those panels torn, inked, and glued down with my glue stick, and then I let them dry super well before I went ahead and creased everything and closed the journal back up. And here's where I'm at now with this. You can see that I'm starting to get some interest along the edges from wrapping those papers all over the creases. And I'm really happy with how these have been dispersed throughout the journal. I'm just kind of going to do a quick little flip through here so you can get a feel for how this ended up all the way to the back. And now I'd like to start filling in the blanks in between a little bit. The goal here today is just to create a starting point, kind of like putting the paper signatures into your journal, that starting point where I can then build on top with all of my decorations. So I have decided that since this is a snow theme, that this was a great time to get out my paper doilies. And I'm going to start filling these spaces in between my mountain and decorative panels. I'm going to start filling these spaces with these paper doilies. I feel like they're going to add that snow texture. Some of them have actual snowflakes kind of built in. So they're going to bring that snow texture in, but still be kind of neutral enough that I can build other things on top of them with my decoration. So I think the only thing to do is really just go for it. I'm going to use my glue stick again. And some of these might overhang a bit. I'm getting camera a little better. So you can see this one is way too big, but I like how it fills this space. And I think it's super interesting. So I'll trim this up after it's dry. So I'm gonna grab my glue stick, and I think the best way to do this might be to stick some glue down in the middle. We're gonna find out. I'm just kind of making this up as I go. Let's smooth that down. And then I'm just going to work my way out to the edges. Applying glue directly to these is a little tricky. So I think my best bet is to apply it to my surface and then stick it down. Make sure I get all the way to the edges. We don't want those little doily edges to be catching. Looks like I'm getting a little wrinkling here. Slightly uncharted territory. I think a little texture will be okay. I don't think it'll hurt it too much if I have a little bit of wrinkling. As long as I smush it down. And I am just going to work my way all around this paper doily and make sure the edges are all stuck down super well. All right, so I have this one down, and I am just going to start working my way through. I'm going to give these plenty of time to dry before I try to trim them or crease them or anything like that, just like I did with the other panels. So let's pull this out. And I've got a bunch of different sizes. I'll link this pack of paper doilies. I got these off of Amazon. I'll link them in the description down below. Let's see. I'm trying to find which side is the right side. Kind of just put a big swoosh of glue here. There's a nice little one, and then I'm going to work my way down to the next section. Let's see here. And I think I'm going to layer a couple different ones here. I like that look. And I had to grab another glue stick. I used up the first one. And then I'll do one more on the next section, and then I'll move on. So you can see if we want to add anything else to this today. This one doily doesn't seem to have much texture on it, but I think maybe I can cover that up with pockets, or maybe it's the visual break I need. Layer this little one on top, and I'm going to be super careful putting this glue over my doily. Sometimes they just want to tear. They hold up pretty well, but they can be a bit delicate. All right, and let's do one more. Got kind of a medium size here, and that looks like it'll just fit. So I think you're getting the idea of what this is going to look like. I'm going to continue through and place doilies between the rest of these decorative panels and trim them up, let everything dry really well, crease it, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, my doilies are in, and I'm really happy with how this is coming together. Definitely, it feels wintry. There's some interest going on, but there's still plenty of room for me to decorate over top of all of this. It's a really good base. I think the only thing I have left to do is I want to use some gold metallic in this journal, and I think the best way to start bringing that in is to just start adding a little bit of that to my backgrounds. I'm going to do that with two different things. I've got some Artist Loft's old gold acrylic paint, and I also have my gold glitter Mod Podge. This is the Mega Glitter. I really love this stuff. Now, putting paint in your journals can sometimes cause sticking later on. So there is a product that you can use over top of your paint to help with that. So if you find you get sticking, you can use the Mod Podge Super Matte over top of your other paints. Now that will dull some of your shine on your glitters and your metallics, but it'll keep your pages from sticking together. So if you're getting sticking from using paint and mixed media inside of your journals, you can try covering it with the Mod Podge Super Matte, and that can help keep that from happening. So I'm going to just work on this section here with both of these products, and I have a makeup brush. This is a cheap e.l.f. makeup brush from Target, and let's see here. And here's just a kind of basic rounded tip flat brush. I'm going to use this with my glitter Mod Podge, and I'm going to use this one with my gold paint. Let me set these up here. Let's get a little gold paint. This is just a plastic lid from some takeout. And let me just squirt a little bit of gold paint on there. I like to dry brush my paint on. So I'm just going to kind of dab into the paint and swirl it around a bit. It's a little wetter than dry. If you want it to be extra dry, you can kind of dab it off on a paper towel first. But I'm going to start just kind of tapping in some gold in the background right over. And then I can use it to kind of pick up some of those edges on the doilies. This is going to be very subtle, and that's the point. I'm creating a background that I can build on, but I just wanted to add a little more texture so that there's interest back here already. I'm not sure how well this is picking up on camera, especially on the craft paper, because the gold and the craft paper are going to be kind of similar. I'm just kind of scrubbing around on my doilies. I really like how that's coming out. It makes it kind of distressed, but you've got that metallic gold. And then I think I'm going to be a little more controlled when it comes to doing these graphic pieces. So I think I might kind of hit the edges of them. I don't really have a great place to put my paint here. Let's see. So let's kind of bounce along the edges and then blend things out a bit. A little aggressive there, but that's okay. And then on to my next doily. Can't really, my wide journal is not fitting into my camera. There we go. So here I've kind of scrubbed that gold around. I like how that looks. And let's go ahead and swap to my glitter, my Mod Podge glitter. Now I'm going to be very sparing with this. I'm going to dip it right out of the container. And I don't want to use too much of it. It's easy to go overboard. I can always add more later. And I think I'm going to just start dabbing some around the edges, maybe a little on these trees, the gold trees, and bring some of that in. A little sparkle and shine. A lot of this might get covered up, but that's okay. Let's go back towards the front, and since this is the front edge of the journal, maybe right along this doily edge here, just kind of gilding it a bit. Let's bring that glitter out a little more. So this glitter does hold up pretty well. It's glitter mixed with some kind of medium, so it doesn't seem to shed off a lot. I don't get a lot of glitter on my fingers. I'm not sure if the camera is really picking all of that shine up. It's doing a pretty good job. So I'm just kind of gilding here and there. And this stuff does stay pretty well. But I'm sticking to mostly edges or little accent details using my digitals for inspiration. And this is where I think I'm going to end my video for the day. I think you get a really good idea of where I'm going, getting started on the background portion of this journal. I'm going to continue to work on this. I'm going to get the glitter and the gold paint throughout the entire thing. And then that is going to be where my starting point will be next time whenever I start the decorating on this. If you're interested in the kit that has these digital papers, the Frosted Peaks Junk Journal Kit is available in my shop, along with 2 other new kits this week, and you can find those links in the description down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.